Right, our top focus. The US Department of Justice has issued a statement alleging a plot from India to murder a US-based Sikh separatist leader. In a statement, the US Attorney's Office announced that the filing of murder for hire charges against Indian national Nikhil Gupta in connection with his participation in a foiled plot to assassinate a US citizen in New York City. Czech authorities arrested and detained Gupta on June 30th this year, pursuant to the bilateral extradition treaty between the United States and the Czech Republic. These are, of course, words coming out from the US Attorney's Office. Earlier today, the Ministry of External Affairs, responding to earlier reports linked to these developments, said that they have already said that during the course of discussions with the US on bilateral security cooperation, the US side shared some inputs pertaining to nexus between organized criminals, gun runners, terrorists and others. The MEA also said that they had indicated that India takes such inputs seriously since they impinge on our national security interests as well, and relevant departments were already examining the issue. The earlier reports that the MEA was responding to allege that the Sikh separatist Gurpatwant Singh Pannu, a dual citizen of the United States and Canada, was the target of a foiled plot. For more on this, I'm joined by my colleague Vishnu Shom. Vishnu, this is a very significant indictment. Explain to our viewers the importance of this.
Well, not just the U.S. Attorney in the state of New York, but also the U.S. Justice Department coming out both with separate press releases alleging an Indian involvement in a plot to murder an American national. This is believed to be Gurpatwant Singh Pannu. He is, of course, a Sikh separatist. He's a Khalistani leader. But the fact that the U.S. has actually come out with these very strong charges accusing an Indian national named Nikhil of being, involved in this murder plot at the behest of somebody working for the government of India, it marks a very serious sort of development as far as this case is concerned. That Indian national who was allegedly working at the behest of an element of the government of India has been arrested at this stage in the Czech Republic. The Czech Republic has an agreement with the United States and an extradition agreement. We don't know at this stage whether he will be extradited or not, but the U.S. Department of Justice has spelled out what the alleged plot actually is. The government of India is very closely looking at all of these developments. They've been aware of some of these allegations before. And prior to the release of these documents from this press release from the U.S. Attorney's Office and from the Justice Department's office, they had issued a statement, and you've read out that statement. Essentially, the government of India looking very closely at the situation. It does impinge on India's national security as well, and various inputs which have been outlined, not just today, but certainly in the last couple of days, is something that the government of India is looking at very, very closely indeed. India, of course, is very concerned about the existence of Sikh extremism, the Khalistani movement and their leaders and their supporters in Canada, the United Kingdom, and certainly in the United States. We've seen attacks on Indian missions. We've seen the Indian High Commissioner in Ottawa being targeted in posters. We've seen the Indian consulate in San Francisco being defaced. So it's all a part of that. Earlier on, there were allegations made by the Canadian Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau, where he said that India was part of a plot to eliminate the same person, Mr. Pannu. Now, Pannu is a Canadian national, has dual citizenship with the United States. The U.S. now alleges that there was a separate plot in the United States as well. And apparently, the U.S. has at various levels informed India of this plot. The plot, the U.S. says, has been foiled. So it's a legal matter now in the United States. There is unlikely to be any further Indian statement either tonight or tomorrow, but it's obviously something that we'll be keeping a close eye on.
Right, Vishnu, if I may ask you one more question, how does this affect the existing diplomatic row between India and Canada over Khalistani extremist Nijjar's killing? Because we have seen so many statements going back and forth on this entire issue. So this, of course, is going to have some sort of an impact on that as well.
Well, whether Canada chooses to rely on the developments in the U.S. to issue some sort of statement or use it as some sort of an argument to make a corroborative, to sort of link what the developments in Canada and the developments in the United States is something that we'll have to watch out for. But yes, this is now a fairly large row. On the one hand, the government of India faces the threat of Sikh extremism, the Khalistani supporters, and this movement in several parts of the world. However, there are very strong allegations, both in Canada at the level of their Prime Minister, and now in the United States at the level of their Justice Department, alleging an Indian plot to murder an American national. In this case, it is Pannoon, the Sikh, the Khalistani leader, on their soil. So that's what the development is presently. We'll have to see how this plays out, but this is a very serious diplomatic incident, it's a legal incident, and it's something that's going to be played out certainly over the next several days, if not weeks.
Right, Vishnu Shom, thank you so much for joining us with that. Now, in a significant judgment, the Supreme Court has made it clear that an offence of criminal conspiracy punishable under Section 120B of the IPC will be deemed a scheduled offence under the PMLA only if the alleged conspiracy is directed towards committing an offence specifically included and listed in the PMLA, or the Prevention of Money Laundering Act, which is the act that governs Enforcement Directorate's powers. So in a way, it seems that the Supreme Court with this order has further curbed the powers of the Enforcement Directorate. My colleague Arvind with more details on this.
Supreme Court has today clarified that the Enforcement Directorate cannot initiate a money laundering investigation merely because Section 120B of IPC, which is a criminal conspiracy, is invoked in a non-scheduled offence. For example, all these days, the Enforcement Directorate has been taking cognizance of income taxes charge sheet, which is a prosecution complaint when it comes to Income Tax Act, for any of the tax evasion cases. Though Income Tax Act is not a scheduled offence under the Prevention of Money Laundering Act, but because whenever the income tax, after conducting searches at the premises of the accused for alleged tax evasion, after the Income Tax Department files a charge sheet against any particular accused, they also invoke a Section 120B of IPC, which is a criminal conspiracy. Because 120B criminal conspiracy is a scheduled offence, even though Income Tax Act is not a scheduled offence, the Enforcement Directorate has been initiating money laundering investigation in many such cases. One of the recent case is DMK MP Kathiranand, against whom the Income Tax Department filed a prosecution complaint for tax evasion, invoking Section 120B of IPC. So, taking cognizance of this 120B of IPC, the Enforcement Directorate initiated a money laundering investigation. So, there are several such cases where the Enforcement Directorate, merely because 120B is included in the charge sheet, the Enforcement Directorate has initiated a money laundering investigation. But today, Supreme Court, in a completely different matter from Bangalore, has made it very clear Section 120B of IPC, which is a criminal conspiracy, cannot be the mere only section based on which ED can initiate an investigation under Money Laundering Act. The criminal conspiracy has to be connected to a scheduled offence. For example, if there is a murder, if there is a Prevention of Corruption Act is invoked, those two are scheduled offence, for which if 120B is invoked along with Prevention of Corruption Act, or along with murder, or along with cheating, etc., in that particular case, ED can initiate a money laundering investigation. But only because 120B is invoked in cases like GST tax evasion or income tax evasion, the Enforcement Directorate cannot initiate money laundering investigation, is the important judgment that has been given by Supreme Court in a judgment today.
Now that the rescue is successfully over in Uttarkashi, questions are being raised about lapses linked to the tunnel project. Many environmentalists have already pointed out the dangers of the Char Dham project in the fragile Himalayas and how impact assessments are not done.
What led to the Silkyara tunnel crisis? Was it human error? Were the official norms and protocol for tunnel design and construction followed in letter and spirit? The circumstances of the Silkyara tunnel accident is raising many questions as to why it actually happened.
You said that there's a need to strengthen the side investigation systems and mechanism. What is side investigation essentially?
Side investigation means at any place, if you are going to dig inside the mountain, so you need to find out which kind of rock it has. You have to find out whether there are faults or folds. One need to strengthen their side investigation for safety purposes.
According to experts, questions have also emerged on whether safety norms and measures were followed.
Do you think that the idea of an escape tunnel is something that should be weaved in how we design our tunnels in future?
Yes, that is very important, that all the safety aspect of not only the workers constructing the tunnel, but also the people using the tunnel should be adequately taken care of.
Uttarakhand Chief Minister Pushkar Singh Dhami and Union Minister VK Singh told NDTV on Wednesday that the circumstances in which this accident happened will be examined in detail.
तो ये जो हादसा हुआ, क्या इसकी कोई जांच होगी? जो दोषी हैं इसके लिए क्या उनको जिम्मेदार ठहरा करके सजा दिलवाने का प्रयास किया जाएगा?
नहीं, निश्चित रूप से देखिए, जब समीक्षा करेंगे तो समीक्षा में सब कुछ आ जाएगा.
Let's get into the allegations that are coming in, General VK Singh, that environmental impact assessment EIA was bypassed for this entire Char Dham project under which this tunnel comes. So the big question is, will the accountability be fixed?
So far as we are concerned in the Ministry of Road, Highways and Transport, we are absolutely transparent. We are again ensuring that whatever things we have laid down, they are refined. If there is an audit required to be done at various stages, that is taken care of.
After the tunnel crisis, the National Highway Authority of India has already decided to carry out a safety audit of all its 29 under construction tunnels. The tunnel experts now want that a safety audit of railway and hydropower tunnels must also be carried out to ascertain whether the existing official norms and guidelines have been strictly followed while designing and constructing them. In Delhi with Akhilesh Sharma and Pooja Arya, Himanshu Shekhar for NDTV.
Now, with the Parliament session all set to begin on 4th of December, the battle lines are drawn between government and opposition parties over the passage of criminal law bills which have been listed for passage in the session. Bengal Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee has already taken the lead by writing a letter to Home Minister Amit Shah for delaying the bills till the new Lok Sabha is constituted and that there should be more stakeholder consultations. Other opposition parties, a part of the India Alliance, are expected to endorse her stand and seek further consultation. My colleague Sunil Prabhu has more.
Parliament is scheduled on the 4th of December, and one of the most important bills which are expected to be taken up for consideration are the 3 criminal law amendment bills. The Trinamool Congress leader and West Bengal Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee has already written a letter to Mr. Amit Shah asking it to be deferred and wanting a broad consensus to be discussed with all stakeholders, given the fact that there has been opposition by opposition parties and wanting the new Lok Sabha to take it up once elections are over. Having said that, she's been first among the India Alliance partners and her line is expected to be endorsed by most members of the India Alliance and opposition parties, setting the stage for a rocky start to the Parliament session.
Right, we'll slip into a short break at this point. Don't go anywhere. Before we wrap up the bulletin, we leave you with visuals from Imphal of actor Randeep Hooda tying the knot. He married model and actor Lynn Leishram, who's also from Imphal.